Hi everybody, welcome to the stream. Welcome to today's stream for episode, whatever it is, episode 7, I want to say now. Episode 7 we're on now. The episode was called Kerblam. We've had to live stream again on Monday this week because I had filming commitments again yesterday. I do apologise, but hopefully I've tried to make sure that it's better promoted this week, so that we can connect a little easier. Because I know that last week it was the case that some of you guys thought I was streaming on Sunday. Anyone who's subscribed can come say hello. I'm going to get up my notes as well whilst we're at it. Because I made sure last week what I found was that I didn't make notes straight after watching it, and I found that quite difficult to remember the bits that I wanted to mention. So I made sure that straight after I watched the episode last night, I watched it about 9 o'clock at night, I made sure that straight away I made notes, and boy oh boy do I have a lot of notes to talk about. So there's lots and lots to talk about. Ewan, I don't know whether my internet is going great, so I don't know if you heard me give you a little shout out. Ewan Ward, you're watching, I'm glad you're here again. You're one of the regulars. I look forward to speaking to you every single week, so I'm glad that you're here, because I do like seeing you guys on the chat. Like I say, if you are watching, make sure that you do comment. I can't see, whilst I'm live streaming, how many people are watching at one time. So the only way that I know that you guys are watching and enjoying it is if you comment. So if you are watching, leave a comment. Let me know what you think of what I'm saying. Let me know what you thought of the episode. I'm very interested to hear what you guys thought of this one. I'll give it a couple more minutes just to allow everyone to come in if there's nobody else here yet. Ewan, I know you're watching. If anybody else comes in, do make sure you comment. Let me know that you're watching, and we will start live streaming at about 35. Dan, hey James, love that t-shirt. It's a Ghostbusters t-shirt. I don't usually wear it. I wore it. The reason I bought it for one of my urban exploring videos last year when me and Will went to a place, and in night vision I wanted it to show up in night vision and it to be like the going joke that I was wearing a Ghostbusters t-shirt whilst we were in an abandoned place. And sometimes you wait all this time for a series and then it's gone like that. So yeah. Right, okay, let's start talking about it. So, as always, we're going to start with the positives. We're going to move on to any negatives in a little while, but we're going to talk about the positives first, okay? So, right, what was the first positive? I thought it was brilliant. Jason was very, very good at what he did for Capaldi. All of the episodes that he wrote were really, really good. So, I had high hopes, and they seemed to pay off, and I'm glad that they did. I enjoyed it. I would say that it was probably the best sci-fi episode this series, which isn't tough, I'll be honest, because there haven't been that great sci-fi episodes. I feel like what this series has done really well so far is the historical episodes. But with that aside, I would say that Kerblam was the best sci-fi episode so far this series. I thought the sci-fi elements were interesting. I thought the fact that it was kind of like a futuristic Doctor Who take on Amazon, I thought was very interesting. I really liked the concept. The companions all had something to do, and it didn't feel forced, which I think is the more important part of that point. What I've noticed throughout this series is the fact that the companions sometimes, particularly in the Saranga conundrum, feel as though they are given jobs for the sake of being given jobs, which I find annoying and I find very, very transparent, and you can see straight through it. Particularly in the Saranga conundrum, I would say I felt like they were given jobs for the sake of getting given jobs. I thought in this episode that they were all given a realistic job that made sense for them to have. Especially Ryan and Yaz. In fact, I would personally say that this episode is probably one of the best in terms of Ryan and Yaz's characters. I thought they were written particularly well. I would go as far to say that Ryan and Yaz's characters were probably written better in this episode than any other episode in this series. I'd love to know whether or not you guys agree with that. I would say there was particularly that scene before they went into sort of the delivery chute and ended up on the conveyor belt, where they were talking and Ryan, the guy, I can't remember what his name was saying, "Oh, I'll go on my own," and Ryan was like, "No, that's not how we do it. We go together, don't we, Yaz?" And Yaz sort of responded, and I thought it felt real the way they said it. Sometimes I think Ryan is written a little bit like a roadman, if you know what I mean. They try to make him too hip, and it doesn't always work. I thought his characters and Yaz's character was particularly good in this episode. Yaz actually used her police skills for once. That's one thing that I know that a lot of people have been complaining, particularly in Arachnids in the UK, where Yaz was a gun was pointed at Yaz and her mum, and she didn't do anything. Even though she's a police officer, she's probably trained in that, and she didn't do anything. So I really, really liked the fact that she tackled... who did she tackle? The guy, whatever, I can't remember what his name is. That guy, she tackled the guy in the warehouse. And I thought that was really good, a really nice addition, the fact that she was the one to do it. She knew what she was doing. She'd obviously been trained in that area. And I thought that was very, very good. And I really, really liked her character last night, actually. Michael Donington, it looked cheap. Do you think? I mean, obviously you're not going to have the vistas that you've had in previous episodes, such as South Africa and Spain for last week. I was kind of prepared for that. And actually, I thought it looked very good, actually. I particularly liked the room where they went in and got scanned. There was a wide shot that they had there with like a window behind them, so you could kind of see their silhouettes, especially when the power went down. And I thought that was a really, really great shot and great set design as well. I really liked them that I felt was a bit of a threat in the episode. Granted, they weren't a huge threat, but they were still a threat. And I thought that was very, very interesting. Sorry, guys, if my internet's not very good tonight. I don't quite know what's going on. I keep getting notifications saying that my internet's not very good. Philip Hawkins, I was all ready to give a slightly negative review, but the last 15 minutes of the episode turned it around for me. The death of Kira and the twist with Charlie really ups my opinions of the episode. Fair enough. I actually liked it from the beginning, to be honest with you. But I agree. The death of Kira was good. I thought Kira was particularly good. I thought she was a very, very good actress. And Charlie was good as well. I thought Charlie is the guy's name. I couldn't remember what his name was a minute ago. I really, really like the Kerblam delivery guys. They were very creepy. I particularly liked the scene where Lee Mack went down to the bottom of the warehouse and they were just stood there, and the eyes were very menacing, and then they sort of grabbed him. I thought that was very, very good. Very, very well done, and very, very well acted as well, I thought. Yep, that's what the next point I've got written. I didn't even read that. The story was enjoyable, and the resolution didn't feel rushed, as per some other episodes. I thought that's a very, very important point to make. I think the thing that sometimes Doctor Who doesn't quite get is a good conclusion. I felt like last night's episode had a decent amount of time for the conclusion, which is sometimes rare. Episodes like Arachnids in the UK, the reason why I didn't enjoy episodes like that is because they are sometimes very rushed towards the end. They spend a lot of time building up the story and then they have to end it all in 5 minutes. And that was one of the reasons that I was quite happy when they announced that the episodes were going to be increased to 50 minutes rather than 45 minutes. And I feel like it hasn't made a difference in some episodes this year, but that 5 minutes, I think in episodes such as last night, it really counts, that 5 minutes, because the conclusion of last night's episode probably went on for about 5-10 minutes. And I thought that was good. I particularly liked the bit in the warehouse with all of the Kerblam. I'm sure there are some, but I couldn't think of any. And I think that's what I want to say about that. So what were my highlights of the episode? Because that's something that I like talking about. Different scenes that I particularly enjoyed, moments in the episode that I particularly enjoyed. I really, really liked the opening scene in the TARDIS, which was the one that they revealed for Children in Need. The one where the Doctor got a fez, which I thought was very nice. And I didn't think it felt too fan servicey. It felt nice enough that you could watch it having not watched any Doctor Who episodes before Series 11 and still kind of just think, oh, it's just the Doctor being weird, really liking a fez. And I thought that was nice. And I liked the fact that they kept it to a minimum, sort of the references. The only thing she said that referenced the past was, does it still suit me, essentially. And I thought that was good. I really, really enjoyed that whole first scene in the TARDIS. Really, really liked it. I would like more scenes like that, really. I don't feel like they've had lots of scenes in the TARDIS this series. And I like scenes in the TARDIS at the start and the end of the episode. You've only got to watch David Tennant's era to see that he had a fair few scenes in the TARDIS that went on for quite a while. And I quite like that. I enjoy it. It kind of just makes the TARDIS feel more like a home, more like a hub. And I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Another highlight for me was just Ryan and Yaz, especially when they were together. I thought they played off each other really, really well in this week's episode, more so than other episodes. I think another good example is in the Saranga conundrum, where they kind of have that conversation where she asks about how his mum died, and it kind of feels a bit forced sometimes, but I thought it was very good, and I thought that all of the scenes between them, I've written particularly the scene before where they get onto the conveyor belt and then the bit on the conveyor belt was very good. The conveyor belt VFX wasn't brilliant, but it was forgivable. It was better than well, a lot of the past Doctor Who episodes. So I can forgive that. It wasn't brilliant, particularly the bit where they jumped from one to the other. I thought was quite fake, but I was willing to forgive it because it's kind of a happy-go-lucky episode, it's a jokey episode, it's not meant to be all taken seriously, so that's why I thought that bit was quite good, and it did remind me, like I keep saying, of a David Tennant, Russell T Davies episode. I really liked the scene where Dan gets killed by the delivery bot. I thought that was very, very good as well. I really enjoyed that. I thought it was creepy, the fact that it was dark, I thought that was creepy. I really liked when they had power surges throughout the warehouse, and actually I kind of hoped, and I think it may have suited it better, if maybe something like they got trapped inside the warehouse so they couldn't go out to that outside area, and all the lights went down and it stayed like that for like the rest of the episode. Let's say 20 minutes before the end of the episode, all the lights went off and it stayed like that. I just thought when they were in the office and the red lights came on, because it was like a lockdown, and the delivery bot was there and it was coming towards them, I thought that looked quite creepy. So I think that would have been nice. It's only a tiny, tiny little negative, but I think that would have worked quite well. That's the only thing I'd say. I also really liked the Kerblam robot army scene in that warehouse right at the end, where they had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of the Kerblam robots. I thought that was very good, and I thought it built up the tension. I thought the Doctor showed a nice side this week, with her being very strong, and I've seen quite a lot of people sort of complaining about the fact that she let Charlie die. I thought he kind of brought that on himself, to be honest with you. I think someone made a good point online, was that the fact that, or as she has with all the other villains this series that have died, she gives them a choice to be better, and they don't take it. And it's only then that she then, I don't want to say lets them die, because I don't even think she lets them die, to be honest. I thought it was interesting. Another thing that I've just thought of now is, am I right in saying this is the first episode of the series that the monster has actually died and not been teleported. Because I know there's that whole rumour that all the villains are going to come back at the end, in the end episode. Charlie died. So unless... I mean, the robots weren't the villain in the end, so that wouldn't make any sense. Dan, loved the entire episode. Loved that they mentioned the unicorn and the wasp and the fez. Knew I'd love the episode by watching the trailer. Loved the Kerblam bot so much. Yeah, I agree with you completely. The unicorn and the wasp little line was very good as well, where she said, "Did I ever tell you about the time I met Agatha Christie?" I thought it was very good. I also thought the line was quite funny, and Hannah was saying about it earlier that she found it funny when the doctor goes, "Laters," and then she goes, "Never saying that again. I'll just stick to bye next time." I thought that was quite funny, and I really do think the 13th Doctor has that sort of comical side very nailed down, and I thought it was funny. Linton, hi, just subscribed. Thank you. Thanks for subscribing. I hope you enjoy the content. Dan, thought Lee Mack was good too. Yeah, I completely agree. Like I said, I don't know what my internet's like. I apologise if it's been up and down, up and down. I keep getting notifications saying it's not great. Don't know why that is tonight, but I'm just carrying on and hoping that you guys can still hear me. Hopefully you can. Yeah, I thought Lee Mack did a good job. I didn't think it seemed too cringy like some actors or cameos can be. I always thought that Frank Skinner's cameo in Mummy on the Orient Express was a bit cringe, and you could kind of tell that he was a big fan of Doctor Who, and it was more like they were giving the fan a chance to be in it. I thought Lee Mack was very good, to be honest with you, and I was a bit worried whether it would be a bit cringy, but I didn't think it was. So yeah, those were my highlights. Really, really enjoyed all of those highlights. Opening scene in the TARDIS, Ryan and Yaz, the scene where Dan gets killed, the Kerblam robot army scene. Those were my highlights. So overall, and I can't believe we're at the summarising stage already. I don't know whether it's the fact that the internet's not great, that I haven't seen a lot of comments from you guys, but feel free to comment now and just let me know what you thought. I'd love to hear what you thought of the episode in an overall sense rather than specifically. Overall, I've put Doctor Who is back on fine form after a few episodes that haven't been brilliant. I felt like it was very good, considering. I mean, I said in the live stream last week that I think there would be a real issue if the villains didn't pull through in this week's episode. I think if they turned out to be another flat villain with no real threat, I would be very disappointed, and I think I would start to say that there were issues with this series and issues with the way that it was being written. But with all things considered, I thought it was pulled out of the bag this week, and I thought it was enjoyable, and I thought the villains were great. The Kerblam robots were my favourite. I didn't think Charlie as the villain was as good, but you know what I mean? I enjoyed the Kerblam robots, and I think Hannah said to me that she kind of wanted them to be the real enemy, but I said, think about any of the Doctor Who episodes like this. The angels, the heavenly host in the Titanic, they turned out to be controlled by a human. I thought of another example, and I can't remember what they were. But yeah, that's a classic example, the heavenly host. They were owned by a human. So I think it kind of redeemed the series a little bit in this week's episode, and I hope for more episodes similar, because I thought it was a very, very light-hearted episode that was very enjoyable, and I enjoyed it all the way through. There wasn't any part of it that I thought, this is really rubbish. I thought it was very enjoyable, and that's, to be honest, the main thing that I want to put across about this week's episode. I'm very, very glad that the monsters were a bit creepy, because it needed it big time. I've said it had my channel because it's well worthwhile watching. Very good. Hoped that this week they would pull it out of the bag in terms of getting a threatening monster, and I really, really think they did. I think they did a good job. Hannah is downstairs in my house right now. Last week I let her sit on the bed. I thought she was a distraction last week, so I've put her downstairs. She says, "I'm Celebrities on." It's on at 9. We've still got 2 minutes. That's all good. the live stream's better than I'm a Celeb. You can pause that. Pause it for me, Hannah. I'll watch it. I'll come down in 1 minute and watch it. Pause it. So yeah, the only other things I've got to say that are a bit Doctor Who related is I'm so glad that it seems to be confirmed that Series 12 is going to be in 2019. I'm so glad about that because I was worried that there was going to be a year in between. And if you follow me on Twitter, the link's in the description for that. If you want to follow my Twitter, then you'll know that I am very, very pleased about that. Was the Christmas special rumour confirmed last week, or has that been this week? In which case, what do I think of the Christmas special moving to New Year's? I was a bit disappointed. I still am a bit disappointed. I kind of hoped that it would be on Christmas Day, because I think, personally for me, I look forward to watching Doctor Who on Christmas Day. I look forward to spending the whole time downstairs with my family, coming up for an hour on Christmas Day and just watching it on my own, and I really enjoy that. Unfortunately, we won't be having that this year, but it is what it is. If it means that the episode's better and they get a better following from it, then fair enough. It's not the end of the world. It was just a bit of a disappointment, that's all I'd say. And that is about everything. Now, I'm not going to promise that I'm going to be here this time on Sunday, 8:30 on Sunday, but I think it's more likely that I will be here because I don't think I'm filming this Sunday. Fingers crossed. I'm doing a lot of filming for my uni project. It's very, very busy, and I am sorry because I want to watch the episode live and I want to live stream straight after.